It all started the day Carol, the new Homeowners Association president, drove her massive black SUV onto my dusty driveway, proclaiming my family's century-old working farm was non-compliant. Could they really enforce suburban architectural standards on land zoned for agriculture since 1910? That's exactly what she tried to do, beginning a 6-month-long nightmare of petty complaints and repeated, ridiculous calls to the sheriff's department. I remember standing in the hot afternoon sun, wiping the sweat and fine silt from my brow, the sharp, pungent smell of fresh manure hanging in the air, the smell of honest work. Carol stood across the line, her bright white tennis dress a stark contrast to the red Oklahoma clay, holding a clipboard like it was a sacred artifact. Your fowl are in violation of the neighborhood noise ordinance, and your equipment is visually offensive, she declared, her voice grating like rusty hinges. Fowl? They were chickens, my beautiful, egg-laying, heritage breed chickens. Are you kidding me? The first time the deputy, a nice young man named Officer Miller, showed up, he just shook his head, gave me a weary look, and drove off after enjoying a fresh egg I'd offered. The second time, he sighed deeply, said he was sorry for the waste of tax dollars, and told me to just log every interaction. But Carol didn't stop. She saw the farm not as a provider of food or a piece of history, but as a dirty eyesore threatening her perfect little pocket of McMansions. She kept finding reasons. The deep, satisfying groan of the old diesel tractor starting up at dawn, noise violation. The sight of laundry drying on the line, unapproved outdoor storage. Even the way the corn grew too tall and blocked the aesthetic view of her meticulously manicured lawn. How does a stalk of corn offend someone? The absurdity gave me a tight, metallic taste of pure frustration. I started feeling jumpy, tensing up every time I heard a car brake near the property line. My sleep was fractured, full of imagined sirens and the sound of her expensive, clicking heels on my gravel. The secondary twist came when I reviewed the security camera footage. It wasn't just Carol filing reports. She was coaching other residents, her homeowners association subordinates, to file redundant, identical complaints about the same issues on the same days. She was manufacturing a crisis, creating a paper trail of community outrage to force the county to intervene on her behalf. This wasn't just annoying. This felt like something genuinely malicious. I felt a wave of icy calm wash over the hot, restless anger. The game had changed. I was no longer defending my farm. I was building a case. I spent the next 2 weeks compiling everything. The sheriff's call logs, 43 separate calls in 4 months. The video clips of Carol filming my vegetables, the emails showing her instructing neighbors. I packaged it all up in a neat binder, calling it the Carol Files. I felt a strange mix of nauseating fear and exhilarating resolve. This was my grand, high-stakes moment of counterdame. The true climax hit last Friday. Carol found the piece de resistance, a forgotten compost pile near the back 40. She called the sheriff's non-emergency line, then the emergency line, and then the county zoning office, claiming I was operating an illegal hazardous waste dump that posed a biohazard risk to the entire subdivision. I heard the distant, familiar wail of the sirens. Not one this time, but 3. My heart pounded against my ribs like a frantic drummer. I walked out to meet the 3 responding units, including a sergeant this time, holding my binder. Carol was there, of course, triumphant, gesturing dramatically at the steaming compost. See, officers? It's vile. It stinks. It's a health code violation, she shrieked, her voice reaching a pitch only dogs usually hear. Sergeant Reyes, a woman with kind eyes and a tired expression, looked from the pile of rich, earthy compost to me. Mr. Dalton, what is this? It's future soil, Sergeant, I replied calmly, pushing the binder into her hands. But before you inspect the dirt, could you review this? It's a chronological log of the 43 times Miss Peterson, Carol, has called your office regarding my farm since February. The sergeant flipped through the thick binder, her brow furrowing deeper with every page. The other two deputies exchanged bewildered glances. The sudden silence was punctuated only by the distant clucking of my supposed noise ordinance violators. Carol's face, moments ago flushed with victory, began to drain, turning a sickly pale shade of gray. She started stammering. But the smell, the rules. Sergeant Reyes closed the binder with a definitive thud. She looked directly at Carol, her voice low and utterly firm. Ms. Peterson, 43 calls. 3 of these were 911 calls for non-emergencies. You are abusing county resources and knowingly filing false reports, creating a documented pattern of harassment against Mr. Dalton. We have video evidence from the prior calls confirming your intent. You need to come with us. Wait, did I just hear that right? A sweet, sharp thrill shot through me, replacing months of stress. Carol exploded in a fury of entitlement, demanding to see a manager and threatening lawsuits, the classic Karen meltdown, but the deputies were already walking her toward a patrol car. That was the final, satisfying counterdame, the realization that the law was finally on the side of justice and common sense, delivering Carol her bitter, well-earned comeuppance. As the squad cars drove away, taking a still protesting Carol, Sergeant Reyes walked back. She let out a long, shuddering sigh of relief. Mr. Dalton, thank you for making our day easier. You saved us a trip to the prosecutor's office by compiling this. We'll be filing the charges for harassment and misuse of emergency services. I nodded, feeling the tension finally melt from my shoulders. It's the least I could do. Say, Sergeant, I just pulled a pan of cornbread out of the oven. Fresh buttermilk. You and the guys want a slice before you head back. And there it was, the true moment of inspiring resolution. 2 exhausted, professional deputies, who had dealt with bureaucratic nonsense all morning, sat on my porch steps, the steam rising gently from thick slices of golden, savory cornbread, silently acknowledging the simple, honest value of farm life. Justice, I realized, doesn't always roar. Sometimes, it tastes like sweet butter and crumbly cornmeal, while the sound of a closing jail cell door rings softly in the distance. The message was clear. You can't regulate the soul out of the land, and if you try to misuse authority, karma, delivered by the local law enforcement, will eventually come back to bite.